skipped Sunday service. This is your church, your pew, your sanctuary. You're here, and that's enough. Whether you're lying on the couch with a fever, stuck at work with no end in sight, up all night with a child who won't sleep, driving through the dark with nowhere to go, or mourning someone whose absence feels like a wound, you're not alone. For the next 7 minutes, let those things rest. Not fixed, not ignored, just set down. This is where heartbreak meets grace. God doesn't ask you to be strong or to hide your pain. He meets you right here, in the ache, in the silence, in the doubt. You are known. You are held. You are loved. Today's first reading is from Psalm 13:2-3. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? These words echo the pain of heartbreak, when the silence of God feels like abandonment. In the depth of sorrow, this psalm reminds us that it is okay to bring our pain to God, to voice our questions, and to feel the weight of longing. Today's gospel is from John 11:35. Jesus wept. In the face of grief, Jesus does not remain distant or detached. He enters fully into the sorrow of Mary and Martha, and into the sorrow of every broken heart. This moment reveals that God does not ignore our pain, but meets us in it with love and compassion. Notice how they speak to each other. The psalmist cries out in despair, and Jesus responds with tears, showing that God is not far off, but present in our deepest sorrow. In both readings, we see that heartbreak is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of God's grace working in us. First, heartbreak is not something we should try to fix on our own. It's a cry for God's attention and presence in our lives. You know that feeling when you're sitting alone in a dimly lit room, eyes red from crying, whispering prayers to the empty air, hoping someone, somewhere, is listening. That's where we are when heartbreak hits. The psalmist cries out, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" That's not just a question, it's a plea, a desperate call for God to see us, to hear us, to come near. I know it's hard to believe when you're on the couch after a long day, or stuck in traffic, or waiting in a hospital room, feeling completely alone. But that's exactly where God meets us. He doesn't ignore our pain. He doesn't turn away. When Jesus saw Mary and Martha weeping at Lazarus's tomb, he didn't just walk past. He wept with them. That's how God meets us in our sorrow, with compassion, with grace, with a presence that says, "I am here." You don't have to hide your tears from God. You don't have to pretend everything's okay. He sees you, and he aches with you. This is where healing begins, in the cry of the heart, in the presence of God. Second, the tears of God are not a sign of weakness, but of love. In the gospel reading, we see Jesus standing at the tomb of Lazarus, tears streaming down his face as he mourns with Mary and Martha. This is not a distant God looking down from above. This is a God who feels deeply, who is not afraid to be broken by our sorrow. When you're sitting on the couch, staring at the ceiling, or driving down a lonely road, or waiting in a hospital room, God is there with you. Not in some abstract way, but in the raw, honest way of Jesus weeping at the tomb. He doesn't ignore your pain. He doesn't look away when you're hurting. He meets you in the middle of your grief. Not with a quick fix, but with a presence that says, "I am with you." The psalmist cried out, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever?" But God didn't forget. He showed up in the person of Jesus, who wept with those who wept. So when your heart is broken, know this: God is not absent. He is right there, weeping with you, holding you, and gently reminding you that you are never alone. Third, heartbreak is not the end. It's a passage, a doorway where God meets us in the middle of the storm. You've felt it, haven't you? That deep, aching place where you just want to be held, where you're tired of pretending everything's fine. That's where the psalmist is when he says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" He's in the middle of the darkness and he's crying out. But here's the truth: God doesn't leave us there. He walks with us through the rain. You know that feeling of walking through a rain-soaked park, the storm pounding down, the world gray and cold? That's where healing begins. You're not alone. You're walking through the storm, and even though you can't see it yet, The sun is breaking through the clouds. God is there, in the middle of your sorrow, not to fix everything in an instant, but to be with you, to hold you, to remind you that this pain is not the end. Maybe today you're on the couch, or in the hospital, or stuck in traffic, and all you can feel is the weight of it all. But listen closely, God is walking with you through that storm. He's not asking you to be brave, or to push through on your own. He's asking you to trust that even in the rain, there is hope. And when the sun finally breaks through, you'll look back and see that this was the path to healing. This is where God meets you, with compassion, with grace, with new life. Now we pray together. Wherever you're sitting, pray with me. For those who could not make it today, that they feel the chapel come to where they are. Lord, hear our prayer. For those who are sick and isolated, that they are comforted by the presence of God and the prayers of the faithful. Lord, hear our prayer. For those working the Sunday shift, that they may find moments of rest and grace in their busy schedules. Lord, hear our prayer. For those grieving a loss, that they may be held in the embrace of God's mercy and be given strength to carry their sorrow. Lord, hear our prayer. For those who have lost the habit of faith, that they may rediscover the gentle call of God in their hearts. Lord, hear our prayer. May all these prayers rise to you, Lord, as we place them gently in your hands.